taking coke will stop you from having morals, or at least you'll have very little morals. And a lot of people will argue that if you don't have morals when you're on coke, you're not going to have morals when you're not on coke, and that's bullshit. So when I was a heavy coke user and I was a drinker, I was never a girl's girl. I didn't look out for the girls. If I was so unhappy in my own life that when I was single, if I wanted to try it on with a man, I would try it on with a man. It wouldn't bother me. Nothing would stop me. I was a class A, probably what you would call a home wrecker, which I'm not proud of. It is not something that I carry lightly, because if I had had that done to me, I would have been absolutely mortified. But at the time, I did not give a shit about anybody, because I was so desperately unhappy that I looked at what other people had and I was jealous of it. Like, I was proper jealous of what other people had, and I wanted it for myself. And I would get there in any which way I could, like in any bit of a form of attention I could get it, because I was so desperately unhappy. And there is no way on earth that I would ever hurt somebody or do anything to hurt somebody now that I'm sober and clean and I'm consciously aware of my actions and I'm like actually a really wholesome person now. But when you're in the depths of despair and you have gone nothing and you don't really give a fuck because you're single, you're on your own, you're desperate for attention, you're desperate for somebody to love you, and you think that love comes from physical affection, which it obviously doesn't. That's how deluded you become. And like, I wasn't a nice person, guys, and I think it's really important that like you all know that you know, I didn't just wake up one day and you know, become this person that I am now. Like, I wasn't a nice person, and I didn't have morals, you know, I didn't have principles, and I would have like gone with somebody who had a wife or a husband or whatever it may be. I don't really care, whatever it was. Like, I was just like, I was like a nymph, and I was just so like desperate for attention that I would do things like that. You know, I would have house parties, I'd invite people back that I didn't really know, and there was just so little self-respect like that I had for myself. It was absolutely horrific, and it's not easy to think back about, because I look upon her as a little girl, like a younger version of myself now, and I just think, like, what were you doing? Like, what were you doing to yourself all that time? Because, you know, especially when you live somewhere like I do, which is a small town, you get a reputation for your behaviour. And I definitely didn't get a good reputation for myself growing up, because I was just constantly desperate for somebody to validate me and to make me feel like I was an okay person and that I was wanted. And it's sad. Like, it's so sad. I look back on it now and I'm like, I didn't give a fuck about anybody. But I also didn't give a fuck about myself. And I think that is evident now that I really didn't. I really didn't care about myself or who I went with or whatever. And I had very little self-respect. And obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. I'm a different person now and I would never do things like that. And it's taken a long time for me to forgive myself. And I know there are people out there that will probably never forgive me for the things that I've done. But it's important that I address and acknowledge that, because I want you to know that there are two sides to being in an addiction, and it can completely change you. Like, it can make you completely selfish. Like, I would go wherever the coke was, you know, I would go wherever the person that was giving me the most attention was. And, you know, you're not thinking like a normal person when you're in your active addiction. Like, I would never, like, now that I'm conscious of my actions when I go anywhere, I'm out and about, like, I would never even entertain flirting with somebody. Like, I'm in a relationship now and I'm so committed. I absolutely love my boyfriend. But if I was in my active addiction, I can't say the same, because I know for a fact that I hated myself so much that when I was out and about, it was just like whatever. Like, I just didn't care. Like, I didn't care about anybody or anything, and I did not care about myself. And now that I care about myself and I actually like myself as a person, I'm in a position now where I can be in a relationship and actually be the right person for somebody, and give them what they deserve as well. But yeah, coke will make you throw your morals out the window. Not just coke on its own, but like alcohol as well. Like, when I was intoxicated with alcohol and coke, you lose your boundaries and you lose your way a little bit, you know. And I just think, like, because the second I touched drugs and alcohol, I did not like the version of myself I became. I became a completely different version of myself. Um, yeah, and it was a toxic, horrible version to be. But I think it's really important that you know that you don't always have to be that way. So even if that sounds a bit like you and that's something that you might have done in the past, don't beat yourself up about it too much, because you can change, like, and you will change if you really want to. But it comes from within. You have to like the person that you are. You have to change your ways to be able to like who you are again. And that's the journey that I've been on, and it's taken a lot of time to get to a place where I'm able to forgive myself for things I've done. Um, And I know, like I said, that there's other people that probably will never forgive me, but it is what it is. Like, I can't change the past, but that's who I used to be, and this is who I am now. And it's just important that we focus on that. But don't give up hope, because you might think you're not a very good person now, but you can be a good person. It just takes time.